Hey everybody, it is Kellen Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited, and one of the highly anticipated events over WrestleMania week, or WrestleMania weekend, I should say, every year is events put on by the Collective, which is basically Game Changer Wrestling and a bunch of independent promotions that they partner with, Shimmer, Black Label Pro, a whole bunch of independent organizations in the United States that typically centers around the WrestleMania city. And on the off days leading up to WrestleMania, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can go and see basically independent wrestling supercards happening. Well, this year, because of COVID, that didn't happen until now, until October of all things, where finally, all this weekend, GCW and its partner promotions have decided to put on the Collective 2020 in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's right. The Collective is happening as we speak. So I wanted to review this particular show on the lineup when it was announced, because it is the hottest, most talked about independent wrestling show of the year when it's announced during Mania week. And it's typically the show with the craziest results, because it's the craziest booker in pro wrestling putting this thing together. So Joey Janela's Spring Break 4 went down last night, which was October 10th, 2020, from the Marion County Fairgrounds in Indianapolis, Indiana. The venue itself looked great. They actually had live fans for this thing, socially distanced and so on and so forth, and everybody was wearing facial coverings or masks and that stuff, and it actually looked great. It looked just like they had, I don't want to estimate on the amount of people there, but there was enough there to make a noise and give reactions and that stuff during the matches and everything, and it sounded great. The show itself ran fairly smoothly, a little bit on the longish side, but it is basically independent wrestling's all-star game is what it is. If you are booked on the Game Changer Wrestling cards over Mania week, whether it's the Spring Break card or the Bloodsport card, it is a nod that you are trending in the right direction as a wrestler. So it's really a loaded card. As I said, think of this as independent wrestling's all-star game. Some of the top names right now in WWE, AEW, Impact, etc. have cut their teeth here, including the infamous Clusterfuck. That's right. It makes its return tonight, the Clusterfuck Battle Royal. This is part of GCW's Collective Week. It's Canadian Thanksgiving 2 this weekend. So Joey Janela Spring Break falls on Canadian Thanksgiving, so I've been kind of watching this in between Thanksgiving events for family and friends and so forth. So finally got a chance to conclude it. Here are my thoughts. So we get to the iPay-per-view, which was streamed on FITE TV, and the opening video hyping the main event of Joey Janela and Ricky Morton is amazing. And we open the card with a Ricky Shane Page open challenge, and RSP is the GCW heavyweight champion. He has an open challenge. Who is it? The crowd, of course, here is very anti-Ohio. I'd like to also mention here that I've taken my own notes for this, but I also want to credit Parker Klin of the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online website. Be using some of his notes during this as well too. He did a really detailed write-up over on F4W Online on the event. Go check it out. So anyways, Page pranks a couple of young wrestlers by inviting them out for an open challenge, but immediately sent them packing. His staple is called 440, and it beat the second young wrestler up and hit him with a chair shot to the head. And then the ominous, spooky music hits, and Danhausen was next, one of the top independent attractions across the independent scene right now. I was actually really surprised to see him utilized here. I thought for sure he'd be in the Battle Royal, but he was jumped by Page's stable as soon as he hit the ring and sent to the back. And then the challenge was finally answered by AEW's Orange Cassidy. I told you this was an independent wrestling all-star event, and he got a great reaction. So the opening contest of Joey Janela Spring Break is a open challenge, not for the GCW heavyweight title, but just an open challenge. RSP taking on Orange Cassidy at this point. Orange is doing the usual shtick. The crowd is hot at this point. But then Gregory Iron, who's part of RSP's 440 stable, trips up Orange, and RSP is in charge. This already feels like watching a DVD era ROH show. I love it. Yeah, this was my first ever Game Changer Wrestling pay-per-view that I've seen from front to back. Of course, seen clips of it online, on YouTube, and so on and so forth. But this is the first time I've actually sat down and watched a product from front to back, especially with one of these. So very impressed. Cassidy lights up RSP with a flurry of offense. As flurry of an offense as Orange Cassidy can do. He hits a dive shortly after and is actually lucharific. Atticus and Eric Ryan attempt to throw Orange through tables on the outside, but they get wiped out. More with Atticus later on. This is actually kind of a breakthrough card for him, for sure, when we get to the Battle Royal. RSB hits a choke breaker, but only gets a 2 count. Gregory Iron again comes in with a bottle of OJ, hands it to RSP, but it's kicked into RSP's face, and an orange punch to Iron, and an old school roll up on RSP for a 1-2-3, and Cassidy wins to a huge ovation, one of the biggest pops of the night. Dude is over in Game Changer for sure. We didn't see a Matt Tremont video. This is Tremont's last Game Changer Wrestling event before his eventual retirement. I think he's got a couple more events over the next month or two to wrap up his final year of competition. One of the premier American deathmatch wrestlers over the past decade or so has Alex Colon tonight, who is currently the best deathmatch wrestler right now on the planet. So that's one of the many main events on this card, but it ended up getting slotted last on the card, so it got the main event spot. We then had some tag team action where we had the GCW team of Iron Beast, Shane Mercer and KTB take on the team from Impact Wrestling, the Rascals, which is Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier here. The match starts hot. The Rascals take control. One thing I did notice during this match is the Rascals' double team maneuvers are highly underrated. You don't hear about them when you're talking about teams that can pull off great double team maneuvers, but they've got to be at least in the top 5 right now of current tag teams that can pull off double team maneuvers and really flashy double team maneuvers at that as well during matches. Put them in the same class as a FTR and potentially even right now as they have grown up in age a little bit, but the Young Bucks as well can still pull them off from time to time. I would put the Rascals in there as well. I think that Impact's really got, and they've proven it, that they've pushed them to the moon since they've signed there, that they have something with the Rascals threesome or tag team. They basically work under Freebird rules anyway, so. However, the Rascals do get caught with a couple of dives to the outside, and Iron Beast hits a super collider on the outside. There's a Doomsday Device attempt, but it's countered by the Rascals. But Iron Beast hits an assisted shooting star gorilla press for only 2. That was impressive. Xavier goes for a dive, but Iron Beast has a door already. Ouch. Wentz gets tossed over to Mercer, who hits a Northern Lights suplex for a 1-2-3. Very impressive tag team match. Both teams got over big, but Iron Beast is kind of the younger of the two teams, having formed just prior to COVID, from what it sounds like from the commentators and that stuff. And this is, they're trying to elevate Mercer, who is a legendary figure in the indies in the States, and KTB as a power tag team for sure going forward. So that, again, a really, really impressive tag team match. I enjoyed this one. One-on-one contest up next with Tiger Style, Lee Moriarty taking on Jonathan Gresham of Ring of Honor. Yes, did I mention that one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions was on this card as well? Like I said, we go back through the card already, and we've seen, AEW's hottest push to the moon guy over recent months with Orange Cassidy. We've seen one of Impact's hottest tag teams with the Rascals, and now we're going to Ring of Honor, and we're seeing one half of Ring of Honor's tag team champions with Jonathan Gresham. This is truly an all-star card. I think the pattern going through these opening 3 matches is that the established guys were putting over the GCW talent big time in their matches. Whether it was the Open Challenge or the really competitive tag match. And this one here was up for Match of the Night honors, in my opinion. This was amazing. The code of honor is adhered to off the start. This is a great technical contest. Moriarty is surprisingly quick and hanging hold for hold with Gresham, which was a shocker. This is a potential show stealer as the crowd is hot during this. A double stomp to the face by Moriarty only nets a 2 count. Moriarty all match though was working on Gresham's arm, and Gresham ups the pace with several near falls and kept working the back of the head, whereas Moriarty was working on Gresham's arm. So, both guys pick a body part, and with the psychology and just building to the crescendo of the match, that's smart. It's really smart, really good pace. But time for the finish. Gresham gets the tap out with the octopus submission and back elbows to the back of the head. What a great match. Post-match respect shown. Gresham puts him over. Sounds like we'll see Lee in ROH soon. So Lee Moriarty probably coming to ROH as they build that pure title division, because this was a pure title type match here. This just didn't work under the pure title rules, but this was a very technical, very astute technical wrestling encounter. Very solid match. Awesome stuff. 6-man tag up next, where we had the team of some GCW regulars, Jordan Oliver, Alex Zane, and Allhart Blake Christian take on Teamazuzu, which was Chris Dickinson, Santana, and Ortiz. Not knowing anything about GCW going into this thing, I was shocked to see Santana and Ortiz there until Dave Prazak and Lenny Leonard and OG Kevin Gill, who were doing commentary. They did an awesome job of commentary all show. Explained some of the back history, to the quote-unquote new viewers, i.e. myself and others, that might be watching GCW wrestling for the first time. And this was, it was, again, another deal where you have 3 established independent stars make stars out of younger talent on the GCW roster. The GCW roster itself is going to be way greater for this going forward. This was just textbook what you do when you book supercards like this. Dickinson has John Moxley, as I record this, later today at Bloodsport. By the way, watch for NitrosTakes later in the week for Shimmer at the Collective, which is happening, I think, just about now as I'm recording this, and Bloodsport, which is happening later on tonight as well. Bloodsport, a very unique concept. I'll talk about that on that NitrosTake, and of course, you guys know how much I love Shimmer, so... The Christian Dickinson chop exchange in the middle of the ring was hilarious and brutal at the same time. I loved it. Yes. Oliver and Santana had a really good exchange as well. Pazuzu did a great job of focusing on Christian the majority of the match, on one member, and just basically tearing him apart. But Alex Zane, he's a game breaker. He can turn the tide a little bit. He turns it momentarily towards the next gen guys. They called them next gen. I don't want to get them confused with the old ROH stable Generation Next, but I believe that the name that they called them was Next Gen. Christian tags in, but Proud and Powerful double teams him for a few minutes, doing their usual double team stick. And there's another team that I would list in that top 5 of top tag teams right now that can do double team maneuvers and so on and so forth. Dickinson and Zane having a real banger of a brawl on the outside. Dickinson with a calf crusher into a standing pile driver, only nets 2. Shooting stars, knees to the back of Dickinson by Zane. Christian goes for the pin, only lands a 2 count. A suplex powerbomb combo by Proud and Powerful to Dickinson on Zane, only nets 2. But a DVD frog splash combo, that only nets 2 on Zane, so a lot of near falls here. The near falls in this match were crazy. Another great exchange by Christensen and Dickinson. A 450 attempt by Christian, thwarted by Dickinson. A big lariat, though, only nets 2. The finish was a big lariat led to the Pazuzu bomb that nets the 1-2-3 for the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson. Feels like the beginning of something here between Next Gen and Pazuzu, for sure. Post-match, respect is shown. Great promo by Dickinson. Huge fall for him so far. Actually, a huge year for him so far. This is the guy that we were talking about on the NWA UWN NitrosTakes a few weeks ago, and he's being booked as the indies open up again in the States on different independent promotions, and he was booked heavily before then. I imagine once NWA Power starts up again, that'll be a guy that we'll see on NWA television or YouTube or whatever form that will take going forward. So it's going to be it's going to be a huge 2021 for Dickinson. We'll see if a major promotion takes stock in him. AEW, WWE, watch out. That might be a name to look for in the future. The teams shake hands, and then we hear Starship. We built this city on rock and roll, and it's time for a dream match. Tony Depen, which uses Starship for his entrance music, takes on Alex Shelly. And Shelly looks like El Desperado here tonight. He's wearing the Desperado mask, and it's got kind of the El Despi outfit happening. Depen won an opportunity to face whoever he wanted at Spring Break, and he chose Alex Shelly. So another great technical encounter early on. Figure 4 by Depen early in the match, but Shelly then starts selling the knee off of the figure 4. And Shelly catches Depen on a suplex attempt with a knee and gets a 2 count off of it, again selling the knee. So, great psychology again early on. Depen with a code breaker outside on the apron for only a 2 count. Several super kicks by Shelly show no effect on Depen, and the air raid crash only nets a 1 count. Shelly hits his finisher, the Shell Shock, and that only nets a 2 count. And the Motor City stretch by Shelly gets reversed and only gets a 2 count. But Depen with an inside cradle gets a free count. This was a phenomenal championship type encounter. Yeah, if there was a belt on the line here, this would be a great title match. But again, this is just on the undercard of Joey Janela Spring Break card. So this was really something else to see. Then it came time for the match that you guys over on my Twitter at Killin' Nitro voted the match of the night off the card. It was Lio Rush taking on ACH. Both guys are back in the independent scene in the States. Both are fully motivated. Look out. Some respect showing off the beginning because both guys have gone through kind of similar paths since being rejected. Well, not rejected, but leaving, I guess, major promotions and what were perceived as quote-unquote major opportunities for the guys going forward. ACH does a good job early of tripping up Leo, but Rush is still quick. ACH hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for only 2, and the crowd is split at this point. It's sidewise, it's 50-50, super hot house. Rush still has it in the ring. Yeah, he's actually gotten a lot better. I think a lot crisper and that stuff. And this comes with age. Like, don't forget, when he was in WWE, he was 21, 22 years old. So now getting on the 23, 24 mark, he's developed into more of an experienced athlete. He's got a lot of ring time underneath him now. The sky's the limit for this guy. And I think it's just going to be a matter of time until All Elite comes calling or New Japan comes calling for this guy, because I think that'll be the next few places we see the man of the hour. Some innovation here, a bottom rope diamond cutter by Rush only nets a 2 count. That was something to see. ACH with a Tree of Woe super kick, again something to see as well. Awesome heat-seeking crossbody by Rush to the outside, but then later on a Tiger Driver by ACH only nets a 2 count. But the finish of the match, Leo hits the Rush Hour and a Frog Splash to net a 3 count for the man of the hour, Leo Rush. Wowie. Post-match, respect showing and a hug. You know what? This was match of the night. You guys voted it. It was great. One of my favorite matches on the entire card. We find out that GCW might run more shows here, so stay tuned to the internet and all of social media and that stuff. Maybe this might be the site for the collective next year if the COVID thing is still happening. And then it's time for one of the main events. We have Joey Janela, the bad boy, the namesake of this entire card, taking on Rock and Roll Express member Ricky Morton. And I bought the show for this match. Yeah, Morton is using that NWA Rock and Roll Express music from 1987. I love it. For more on that stuff, check out the Great American Bash War Games NitrosTake. I go right into that in that 40 minutes odd podcast / video. It's on the channel. Go check it out. Janela is styling and profiling early on, kind of mocking Ric Flair a little bit. Also mocking Jim Cornette as well, kind of adding fire to that beef between Cornette and Janela for sure. This match, though, before Corona was supposed to be Muta versus Janela. I think that was one of the things that was heavily advertised for Tampa, and WrestleMania week this past year. Had WrestleMania week gone on as planned. This is great, though, and I think this actually, I don't want to say it turned out better than what a Muta Janela match would have, but this is actually pretty good how it turned out. Again, some solid old school pacing. The match goes to the outside. There's an awesome chop battle. A really awesome table pile driver spot. It's shades of funk and flair with Morton on the giving end of a pile driver on Janela on top of a kind of plasticky type table. This is kind of not really one that would break. It was like a Japanese style table almost. Janela, though, busts Morton open with the chair. Morton hits a DVD on Janela on the apron. Wow. Morton grabs the door, but Janela sends him into it. Brainbuster for only 2. Then a flying elbow through the door, only nets a 2 count for Janela. A figure 4 by Janela, then no dice, no submission off there. A small package by Morton, only nets a 2 count. And then an oh my god Canadian Destroyer by Morton, only nets a 2 count. Holy. And then Joey goes for another figure 4. Morton turns into it, and there's a submission victory. So immediately, Morton tries a high spot off the top rope. Janela catches his legs, goes into a figure 4, but Morton immediately turns it over, and Janela just immediately quick submission, just like that. It's 2020, and Ricky Morton has had an NWA title shot and a win on Spring Break. Yeah, that's right, because don't forget, he had the title shot on Power with Nick Aldis just prior to the COVID shutdown in February. So this has been, another great year for the dude, as I think I predicted at the end of the year thing for 2019, which is on the channel here as well. But just timeless performer. The dude's 64. If I could do half of the stuff that he's doing at 64, just and not even wrestling, just walking around and being, in that sort of shape to do that type of stuff, I'll be happy. So up next was the Clusterfuck Battle Royal, and you guys have heard about all of the entrants by now on the internet and that stuff, so I'm not going to go into a blow-by-blow for that. We'll jump right to the finish here and get down to the last 2 guys, which was Atticus from Fort 40 and Spider Nate Webb, who was the first man in the Battle Royal. And Atticus wore out a chair on Nate Webb and hits an air raid crash through the chair, only netted a 2 count for Atticus, but that allowed Webb to kind of turn the tide a little bit and set Atticus up for a Moonsault Fan Terminator, which was an oh my god type moment, and the Soylent Green finisher by Webb on Atticus lands the hometown victory. A great story, and 53 different entrants in this Clusterfuck Battle Royal this year. You can go back and see through the records. We had everybody from Shark Boy to Yoshihiko from DDT in Japan, both Stunt Brothers, which started a kind of a feud which kind of carried over into today's shows on the Black Label show with a tag team match and that stuff between Logan and Marco Stunt, which was kind of cool. I think involving FE as well and a few others. Frank the Clown, Robert Anthony. I missed during Robert Anthony and Frank the Clown's entrance, some guy had kind of a confetti cannon that was supposed to go off as they walked through the curtain and that stuff, and he had it pointed the wrong way, and so he took the full load of confetti right to the groin. Think man gets hit in the groin by football from The Simpsons, except more funny. And you look and you see this poor independent talent who is probably just there to help set up the ring and that stuff, just laying in a heap on the concrete. I might just go back and watch Clusterfuck for that. We had the Walmart dudes who were, remember these guys were trending before and in the early months of the COVID shutdown because they were having full WWE style matches in Walmart. Lord A and Tahir 2X, they actually put together some pretty awesome sequences in the ring and that stuff. I think with a little bit more ring time and polish and that stuff, I think that they could probably definitely get booked on different independent shows in the States. So, yeah, they were that good. A lot of great female talent too. Elena Black, Billy Starks in this thing. We had Solo Darling and Willow Nightingale as well from Shimmer, Alley Cat, who's a GCW regular. The legend of the late 90s indies in Indiana and the East Coast, Flash Flanagan, was in this thing as well. So it was great. We had JTG in this match as well, paying tribute to his late tag team partner, Shad Gaspard, by hitting Shad's finisher. This was, again, The Invisible Man, which is a GCW Spring Break shtick, had a great exchange with Levi Everett, so on and so forth. So it was just the clusterfuck this year is worth a watch, definitely. But it's a very lengthy piece of video. It's about 90 minutes or so, but if you can get through it all, it's very entertaining. More Tremont and Cologne hype after the clusterfuck ends, and we get into the main event, which is ultra-violent death match rules. Matt Tremont versus Alex Cologne with Marcus Crane in Cologne's corner. This is Tremont's final GCW match. I myself am not a big ultra-violent death match wrestling guy, but I can always respect a veteran who has done a lot in the business as Tremont has, so I'll give this match a definite watch through for sure. Cologne is regarded as the best deathmatch wrestler today, as we talked about earlier. Yeah, both men are 1-1 going into this rubber match. There are light tubes blowing up everywhere. There's multiple big fights to the outside in this thing. Huge power slam by Tremont to Cologne through a chair at ringside, but Cologne jumps on attack with the light tubes. Tremont hits a Northern Light suplex into the tubes, and Cologne hits a tornado DDT later on in the match into light tubes as well. A Samoan drop through doors and barbed wire by Tremont on Cologne. The two fight up the stairway in the venue and suplex on wooden bleachers that are on basically concrete steps. Balcony dive by Cologne through doors and chairs onto Tremont. Double stomp through the light tubes on Tremont, but Tremont hulks up right after. A DVD through the light tubes, only that's 2 for Tremont. And then a double stomp by Cologne on Tremont through a trash can. And, well, 1,000 broken light tubes later, Cologne gets the pin, 1, 2, 3, and post-match, thank you, Matt chants fill the air, and Tremont dedicates the match to his friend who had passed away earlier this year, Danny Havoc, which is also a friend and confidant of John Moxley, as well, as they all kind of grew up in that CZW Philadelphia vibe during the mid-2000s and the 2000s indie boom. The show runtime runs about 4 hours, 42 minutes, and 46 seconds, so definitely not one to sit down and watch front to back on, but you can probably stomach this within 2 sittings. It's like watching a New Japan card, basically. Just, take some time and, find a cutoff point, do something else, and you can come back to the rest of it later. If you can half it, it's not bad. So I will give this card a 9 out of 10. I was thoroughly entertained from front to back. Like I said, Rush ACH match of the night. Janela and Morton is low-key going to be a match of the year contender that I will bring up at the end of the year for the Meltzers on the channel, and so on and so forth. So it was a very interesting, very eye-opening experience. I did enjoy what I seen. I might suss out more Spring Break shows and maybe give you guys my thoughts on them as the channel carries forward, and that's So anyways, what did you guys think of Joey Janela Spring Break 4 and any other show from the Collective as well? Don't forget, I'm going to sit down and watch Shimmer at the Collective and Josh Barnett's Bloodsport as well. But if you watched any of the other stuff, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, the Black Label Pro show, I think Freelance Wrestling had a show last night even after this, which was talk about late night wrestling. There you go. But if you guys had bought the FITE TV package, which I think they had something like 12 shows for $120 or something over 3 days, and you had access to all of them, and you have unlimited replays of all of them as well. Put them down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. All right, folks, later days. Happy wrestling watching. We'll see you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited.